Hello, everyone. I'm Verna Pinto. If you could just come on your, you can unmute yourself and say hello. So I know that you can hear me. Kishore, Arun, Mohit, Ronald.
Oh,
Hi.
Hello, Verna. I
Hi.
can hear you.
Okay, that's great. Welcome. We're just having some few people entering the room, so I'll just wait for a couple of minutes before we start. Hi, Panika.
Hi, Verna. I just got your text. I'm excited.
Yeah, so am I. You're welcome.
Thank you so
just
much.
For a couple of minutes before we can start.
Okay. I'm not putting my camera on because I'm in my workout clothes.
No
I just
problem.
dropped my daughter off at school.
No problem. If everybody can hear me clearly and loud, and I would like to welcome each and every one of you for this webinar. And this is my third webinar that I have prepared for entrepreneurs who are on their journey of entrepreneurship. A few days ago, I did meet with somebody who told me the pain that he has is in decision making. And with that thought, I prepared this webinar. So while other people also have, an insight of the difficulties one faces during decision making and how one can go about it, how one can actually look at ways in which you can reduce the time that we take while procrastinating, decisions that are important, that are regular. And that is why we are here. So my name is Verna Pinto, and I am a chartered accountant. I have completed 20 or more years, while working as a CA. And I have experience in audit, in taxation, in valuation, and it goes on because we get a vast, kind of experience everywhere, every assignment. And while I'm going to now share my presentation with you. Is it visible?
No.
Okay.
no, it cannot be seen.
Give me a minute.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, that's great. So, well, as I introduced myself, why did I take up this particular, um, you know, topic to talk about is because we all face difficult decisions or easy decisions. Some are easy, some are difficult. And I brought this webinar in to be able to learn myself and teach others who are interested. So every day in our lives, we make decisions, we need to make decisions since our childhood. While opening up the fridge, you will think, well, can I have a carrot because I'm hungry? Or then the chocolate is even tastier. Let me take that chocolate. One doesn't realize that at that moment, there are so many emotions that go on in our mind while we decide to take on the chocolate because it's more appealing, and you won't take the carrot because it's rather healthy, though it satisfies your hunger. You're more tempted to take that. One does not realize the repercussions or the consequences of a long-term decision making in this sense. So we need to have our goals very clear. You want to satisfy your hunger, but you also want to have a healthy, something healthy. Maybe you can take something not as extreme as chocolate to fulfill your hunger, because that's going to make you hungry soon. So starting from decision making, each of you have your own decision making, every day of your life. So can you unmute and tell me some of the regular decisions that you take? Something that will not really make a big impact tomorrow. For example, I wake up in the morning and I want to have either tea or coffee. Would anyone else like to share?
Waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning every day.
Okay, Ronald, thanks. Anything else?
Yeah,
Because I want you all to wake up so that we can have fun in this lecture.
yeah, about having a workout to do
Can you speak a little?
yeah, to perform the workout or skip the workout for the day.
Great. Okay, so while you're having these decisions in your mind, keep also the impact it's going to have on the decisions that you're making. So as we go along, there are so many decisions we make. What happens is when we have, the decisions you make today will affect your tomorrow, right? So the goals are very important. And it is not an easy thing, because if it was easy, all of us would meet our goals easily. So it's a human being that needs to be understood in that sense, because we are emotional people. And this has a lot to do with the way in which we make our decisions. Before I start anything else, I'd just like to follow certain rules in this webinar. We will observe a professional decorum and respect everyone attending this webinar. You must actively participate and ask questions in the chat by raising your virtual hand, or because we do not have that many participants, you can easily unmute yourself and ask questions. If you want to share something, please let me know that I can allow you to share, and then it should be restricted to the webinar subject discussed. Let us ask, I'm asking you, what is decision making? So while you said you need to work out, or you need to, need to do some other important work, what would you decide? So it is choosing when you choose the best option from a set of alternatives, it is called making a decision. But effective decision making is when you gather and analyze information. That means you just don't offhand decide that I want to do A or B and go with it without gathering information, without analyzing that information, and considering the consequences. Once you do these two, then you are in a position to make an effective decision, because you are choosing the best course of action. But there are some common mistakes we all make in our decision making. So what happens, because we are human beings, we have a lot of biases in our minds, and we always feel that there is something that is the perfect decision. So the first important mistake that we all make is holding out to make a perfect decision. Like there is no mistake that can ever happen. Now, what does this do? This leads us to overthink. You will never feel that whatever decision you're making is the best because there's always something missing. And you keep overthinking. While you keep overthinking, you are wasting your precious time and you are procrastinating. You are unsure. That is creating self-doubt. And that is not allowing you to go ahead to make that decision. So first of all, in your mind, remember that if you make a good enough decision, that is better than trying to make a perfect decision. We have to allow some chance of error because we are human. However, if whatever goals you have, you are able to meet it by whatever you are doing, then you can just call yourself lucky or you've done your homework well. So the first common mistake is holding out for a perfect decision. The second mistake we make generally is that we are married to your own ideas. When we say we are married to our own ideas, we firmly believe that whatever we are doing is the correct thing that we are doing. Now, this brings me to an example of the Concorde. Now, this jet plane was, one of the really sought after and marveled at planes, but the Concorde was always making losses. It would never be able to make profits. But the company went on and on. And what happened then? There was a fatal accident one day. And that led it to completely get grounded. So when the management's mind is very fixed on their own ideas, they're not willing to look at it in an analytical way, or you are so much in denial that you do not want to move or change. That is where is the mistake in decision making. So our minds sometimes need to be allowed to open up and look for more evidences, analysis, and that is where this is an example that everybody should read about. If you go on the internet and just glance through Concorde, you will know that it has had always incurring losses, but it never gave up until it had a fatal accident. The next one is failure to accept realities. Now, what happens is, suppose you're going in for an operation and you see the statistics that 70% of the operations that take place are successful. And you decide, yes, I'm going ahead with this. Now, it so happens that we do not, sorry. So what happens is that while we have decided to go in for the operation, we also should recognize that there is a failure percentage as well. But taking into consideration your goals, taking into consideration your strength, taking into consideration so many other factors that you need to go in for this operation, but be aware that our minds are something that will only accept what we want to know. So it does have sometimes these realities which we don't want to accept. Then relying on your own intuition. If sometimes I feel maybe, I must start this business, I think I will do great. And I'm so confident that it's going to happen, but I have not made my research. I have not checked out how there are competitors in the market. I haven't checked so many other important things as to the costing. And I just think I'm going to make it great because I feel that I will make it great. This is your own intuition. You cannot let intuition overweigh analysis. So that is where we are wrong. We make mistakes. Then the next one is we pay very little heed to consequences. Now, let me take you back to a very, memorable movie called The Titanic. While the Titanic was moving, it had a schedule. And the people who were managing the Titanic decided that they want to escalate or to shorten the trip by 24 hours. So what they did is they knew, okay, they were being warned about the icebergs. If you all remember, they were being warned about the icebergs, but they did not listen. So they paid very little heed to the consequences. So this is another problem, that because we want to reach faster, we want to hurry with things, we are not paying attention to the consequences. And the last one is overvaluing consensus. A lot of times you would have noticed in your family that you want to make a decision, but because you want to include everyone in that, you call them, you sit at a table, and you start discussing this. Now, for example, let's say we want to decide to go on a holiday, and there are 8 people. Now, 8 people have different ideas. It so happens that they might not be in the right frame of mind to understand a budget, a limit, etc. Sometimes these things don't work. Like it's better to take a decision between 1 and 2 people rather than having the opinion of a large group. So that is another point which I wanted to make about how we make common mistakes in decision making. Another important slide, this for you, is our biases. Like I had mentioned, everything about decision making has a lot to do with emotions. So there are 4 biases that we as human beings have. It's existent within everyone, and one must be able to acknowledge that you have this bias so that when you make the next decision, you will be able to take a much better way of looking at decisions. So what do I mean by, there are 4 types. One is self-serving bias. So what does self-serving bias mean? That you feel that, suppose you have been successful in your exams, okay? You feel that it's all because of you. And if you have failed, you will always blame it on every other aspect that you can see. You would blame it on, that you didn't have time, you were sleeping, or, you were not well, and it will be your friends came over, something else, but it will not be taking responsibility. Now, here, what is important is you take responsibility of the success. And this is very important because you will otherwise never learn from your mistakes. You will always be thinking that the success is all because of you and the failure is all because of someone else. So if you do want to share something in this slide, because it's an important one, please do share. I'll be very happy to listen to you. The next bias is a cognitive fluency bias. What this means is that anything that flows very easily, you tend to believe more in it, that it will happen. So for example, you say, oh, it's very easy to start a company. All you have to do is prepare the documentation, take your product and start selling. And you say, wow, it's that easy. So whenever, the only way to handle this situation is that whenever you do think that there is something so easy to do, what you should do is question it. Do not take it to be truly blindly, it is not going to work that way. Whatever is easy is not true. Make sure to see that the contrary is also possible. Whether it's possible or not, then you take this idea and go ahead with it. In terms of sunk cost fallacy. Now, this is something which is very common in everyone, whether it's a business decision, whether it's a personal decision. You can see very clearly that, for example, you go to a movie and it really looks great. And I think there were some recent movies also that really sounded great, but in the middle of the movie, you find that the movie is really crap. You don't want to watch it anymore. But now look at your decision making. Oh, but I spent $50 on that. So what should I do? Like, I might as well sit. Yeah, I might as well sit and enjoy the movie rather than going home. This is the problem. This is called a sunk cost fallacy. You know that you have already spent the money. So that is sunk cost. You can't change that. But if you stay back, you will not only not enjoy the movie, you will also lose the time. But if you leave, you will at least gain that 1 hour where you feel that, let me do something more important. So try and imagine these situations in your life. You know that these happen to you. It happens to me every day. And while you are becoming more aware of these biases that we live with, you will be able to set aside this and actually rethink on making your decision better. And the last one is confirmation bias. See, this is one of the very dangerous biases that we have. For example, I have a headache, okay? And I want to see why I have this headache because I've done everything right today. I have not been out of the house. I've had enough of water, and then what's the problem? So I want to watch on the internet and find out what's wrong with me. So while I'm looking at the internet, it's going to tell me that maybe, it'll show me some negatives. But my mind is wanting a confirmation that everything's right with me. So I go looking for those things that are only showing me what's right. So what do is in these sports situations, whatever I've highlighted in really deep red is what you need to do. When you have a self-serving bias where you feel that when things go right, it's because of you, and wrong, and when it goes wrong, it's because of someone else, you need to have very close friends. And those friends that will keep you grounded, who will tell you the fact as it is, because they want you to succeed. They want you to take the right decision. They won't say that, yes, it's, they will actually show you that, no, I think what you think right now is not correct. You need to actually focus more on this problem of yours because then you will succeed. In the cognitive fluency bias, you do not accept an idea just as it is, you question it. Don't take it to be true, just blindly. In the third one, which is a sunk cost fallacy, you decide at that moment, once you know that the cost is already incurred, you need to leave so that you can gain that extra time at least, and you don't have to waste that time. And for the confirmation bias, you will always be wanting now to search for contradicting evidence. For example, if you think like generally people are good, go and try and find that contradicting evidence, say people are not good. So you have a balanced decision making. You do not take a decision based on only what you think is right. Okay. I hope that this slide is clear because this is one of the important slides because this really governs our biases. They don't allow us to go ahead because we are stuck with decision making. So how does one make better decisions? So like we've seen in the past slide, right? Our emotions play a big part. So first of all, when you're trying to make a decision, be aware. Are you fearful? Are you feeling uncertainty? Or are you super excited and optimistic? You need to calm down. You need to keep your emotions at bay. You keep yourself outside that decision making, looking at it from a lens of balance. Once you do that, your decisions will start becoming better than what you used to. Second is, make decisions that align with your values. For example, you have kept 30 minutes in the day that you want to do some sport or you want to do some activity. Now, sports can be, either playing golf or actually football. So when you have that, the value that you have that, yes, I want fitness, you will go for which one? Football or golf. So depending on what your values are and where your goals are, you need to make those decisions. See that they align to your values and your goals. Decisions should be in line and in clarity of your goals. For example, if my goal is, say I want to go to somewhere to eat food, like to have dinner. So your goal should be very clear. Like it should be a healthy meal or it should be a pizza you want to try. So your goal is clear, you know where to go. But if you go out of your house not knowing what you want, then you might take a right turn, then you might take a left turn, and you're not sure. So you're not making the right decision. So be clear of your goals. I'm taking very simple examples so that it's like so much part of you in your day-to-day activity. You can also be applying this to your business. The next one is take yourself out of a situation. For example, you want to buy a guitar and you're not sure whether you should buy a guitar or not. So your mind is thinking, it's expensive. But on the other side, it's also thinking, yes, that's what I want to do when at the end of the day. You can't really decide what you want to do. Just take yourself out of the situation. Think that you are advising a friend. And if you do that, you will be able to keep your emotions out of it while you take this decision. So being very clear on not having emotion in that situation and taking yourself out of it, you will be able to make a much better decision without emotions. The last one is talk to people who might be affected with this decision. Now, if you feel you want to now change your home and you are husband and wife and you have a place to go to work and you need to talk to your husband, of course, that should we move to this place? Because there'll be so many consequences that will be affecting this decision. You might just not want to look for homes in that space before you talk to each other. So whoever will be affected by your decision will really appreciate and give that feedback that you will be able to take a much better decision for that. So in order to explain further what is decision making, I want to give you guys a chance. If you have something to share, if you have something to ask before I go on to some techniques in which will help you know how to make your decision, please unmute and let me know. If there is any questions, you can unmute and speak. So I'll go ahead if you have no questions. The next few slides that I'm going to show you is actually making it happen for you on a piece of paper. So now is when you actually take your paper and your pen. You have a blank page and you take a pen. This is what is presented right now is a grid, is a decision-making grid. And on the right-hand side, you can see that there is something called as DECIDE. It's an acronym which actually shows you the method of making your decision. So I've given a very simple example as to how to choose a birthday gift. For example, let's say this is a child of, say, a toddler. And you need to give a gift to that toddler. So you have few things in your mind, but you don't know which one to choose. The best way to be able to make the fastest decision is to put it down on a grid. When you're looking for certain characteristics of a toy, of a birthday gift, you will first pay attention to the age. You will pay attention to the creativity, maybe safety, and cost. So if it all fits into your mind, then yes, you know what to choose and you know why you want to choose it. So let's say, for example, one option is puzzles. So you have puzzles of different shapes, different sizes. So when you're thinking of a toddler, you're going to say, okay, fine, let's choose a puzzle that a toddler can play with. So is it possible for a toddler to play with this kind of a puzzle? And then you choose another option, maybe cars, or maybe dolls if it's a girl, and cars, or crayons. So while we are choosing these three, main kind of toys that we want to buy as a birthday gift, in the creativity section, you can see puzzles. They're not that creative because what you need to do is fix it together. If they are cars, maybe there is some kind of a loose part in it that can help you to create a car. There are some fixing toys which, create cars. Or crayons. Yes, that is very creative. It'll help the child to draw. Then you go to the next criteria. So for puzzles, if they are tiny, they will have choking parts. If they are larger, they won't have those choking parts. If there are cars that have loose parts, then you will have choking parts. So it's not safe. And third, crayons. If it's a child below 3 years, then yes, you never know when the crayon goes in the mouth. So it's not safe. So while you've listed down creativity, safety, you're going to the cost. Maybe puzzles will cost you $60. Then cars might cost you $50. And crayons cost you $25. So based on what is your limitations and what is your idea, you choose what suits the best. So when you put this down on a little grid, you know that the first choice that you will have is the car. You will choose a car that has less choking parts because it suits your pricing. Maybe your limit for the gift was $50. So this does match it. Crayons, definitely not, because it is having a choking hazard and the child is below 3 years, even though it might be cheaper. And then puzzles, because it's not that creative, and you don't find that that's the right kind of toy for that age, you decide to buy the car. So while this decision making happens in your mind, if you only learn to place it on paper, you'll be able to make really quick decisions. Otherwise, you'll be procrastinating, you'll be thinking of so many things, you won't be able to understand at the end of the day. Like, I think we should have finally just purchased the puzzles. You won't be sure. If you put this down, it helps you analyze how to go forward. So the first part is define your goal. Here, the goal was giving a toddler a toy. The second one is establish your criteria. So you had to establish between creativity, safety, cost. So you have established that. Then you choose a good option. So you chose 3 options, A, B, or C, like puzzles, cars, or crayons. Then you look at the pros and cons. You identify the good parts and the bad things, whatever is good and whatever is bad, whatever works your way. Then you decide a logical option. So you have understood that's a toddler. She will require some toy to be played with, but it should not have choking parts. So you made a quick decision, a good one, and then you evaluate the result. Now, how do you think your decision was? So it was good, right? You evaluated, it was a great decision you made, and you're happy that you made this decision. Let's take another example. So with the same idea in mind, you have your goals, you see the options, you put down everything. Let's see, for someone else, if you want to choose an apartment A or B to rent. Okay, so say you're working at a place called C, and you have to choose that you want to either go apartment, take on a rent apartment A or apartment B. Now, apartment A, there are several things that one will need to consider. So I write down price, location, laundry, gym, pool. These are the 5 important things that matter to me while making the decision. So apartment A is cheap. So I put 10 points for the price because I think it's perfect. But apartment B is expensive, but still close to the office. So I put 2 because I feel it's, not working out for me. But then I go to the location. The next criteria says, apartment A, price is great, but it's too far from my place of work. So I give it only 1 point. But apartment B is really very close to the place of work. The third criteria is laundry. Like maybe in apartment A, you have everything that will help you do your laundry without taking it out somewhere. Apartment B does not have those facilities. So you have accordingly put 9 and 2 as the kind of weight that you'll give it to this criteria. The next one is the gym. Apartment A has no gym, right? It's a low-cost apartment, so they don't have those facilities for gym. But apartment B has a facility of gym. So you put 6 points for that and you put 0 points for the gym. In the pool section, the last criteria, that they do have a pool, but it's not that great in apartment A. But apartment B has a very well, kept pool, which has a lot of facilities for the people living there. Now, what do I do? How do I choose? Because it's so confusing. While I have put it down on this grid, I simply total the weights that I give to each criteria. So if you see apartment A, price 10, location 1, laundry 9, gym 0, pool 5. I got a total of 25. And in apartment B, I'd say price is just 2, location is 10, laundry is 2, gym is 6, pool is 10. I get a total of 30. Now, when I look at the totals, it becomes very clear to me which one of them is giving me more value. So I choose apartment B. So my final evaluation is choose B because even if it is expensive to rent, I will travel, I will save on travel money, and it has a great gym and a pool, which will compensate for the cost of the rental. But if I do not put it down on the grid, you can just imagine how much more time you will waste thinking about it, and your thoughts will crisscross every point, that you're not very sure what you're doing. And then you won't be able to make that decision quickly. So I urge you that if you haven't ever done this before, take a very simple example and try to put it down in a grid. You will be shocked to know how easy your decision making is. In the similar manner, I'm not going to explain it again, but yes, in the similar manner, if you are an entrepreneur and you have to choose between factory A and B, and in a very similar kind of a situation, you check on the price, the location, the infrastructure, the labor, and the resale value. Suppose you want to invest in this. So you will still choose that option that has a higher total. And in this, it is factory B. So it has a lower, it is expensive. The location is great. The infrastructure is really good. The labor is not that great, but it has a great resale value. So your points for it is 31, and that will help you make this decision. Another kind of example that I wanted to give is, just because we were talking about daily examples, you never went into the business example. This is also a very simple example. Suppose I have 3 products that I would want to, experiment and see what I should be producing or selling. So if product A caters to very niche clients, let's say it's a television set, okay, a very expensive television set. It has the works that you can, get from it. You have 2 criteria, the durability and the cost. So I decide that I want to start, purchasing these kind of niche products, a niche television set, and want to sell this. It has great durability. It will be lasting over 10 years. You will not have to change your TV set. The cost to me is $100. For example, it's just $100 to me. There's another option I have. I could choose product B. Maybe it doesn't have all the features of product A, but I might have to change my television after about 6 to 7 years because it will run out of all those features that I'm looking for. And product C is a regular television, which, most people today will be using it as something that, they've had for many years, but it still runs. Not that you can't watch what you want to. It's just that very soon it's going to become obsolete. So maybe in 4 years' time, you won't be able to continue with that. You'll have to buy a new one. So there are a lot of, criteria here. As trying to make this example simple. If I decide that I want to invest in product A and sell it to the clients who want this niche product, while my cost is 100, I can sell it for 150% profit because it's a niche product. People will be wanting to buy this luxury item, and I have my clientele. I know my market. I can make that profit. If I decide to go to product B, I will sell it. My cost will be a slightly lower because it is not the best in the market, but yet I can make a profit of 100% on whatever I purchase. Product C, being regular, is not that highly priced. So my cost is low. And if I sell it tomorrow, I really cannot make a great margin. I can just make 50%. So here, there are 2 things. If you have your goal is very important. What is your goal? If my goal was to maximize profit in the short term, like in another 3 or 4 months, I want to make maximum profit. But the investment amount is limited. Like I have maybe just enough that I can purchase just 2 or 3 of the niche product. Then that will make no sense to me because it might not make it happen for my goal maximization. I would have to choose either product B or C. But if my investment amount is unlimited, which allows me to buy many more products of A, I will be able to sell it out to the niche clients and then maximize my profit. So I just want to know if you have any questions that you have till now. Would anybody like to share if they have ever tried doing this on a paper and pen? Have you ever put down your decision-making thoughts on a paper? So if you haven't, you could start. Now here, there are a few techniques that one can apply while making decisions. If you're there are many types which I can show you here. This is something called as a decision tree. You keep your goal in mind. For example, you want to buy a car. So you want either, a red car or a yellow car. the color really doesn't matter. But will it be suitable to the place that you're going to, take it every day or not? Will it be price sensitive? So you take your decision on yes or no. So the first picture there is of a decision tree. So you can put down your thoughts of that decision tree on a blank decision tree and choose from those options while you understand what is your goal. The second one is called 5 whys. The 5 why analysis shows you a problem, and to make a decision on that problem, you need to ask yourself why 5 times. And with every question, it will lead to the next question as to why. While I cannot go very deeply into each of them, I can do a separate session with you on a one-on-one if you have certain queries about these kind of techniques. This is just for your knowledge. The next one is called PMI chart. P means plus, M means minus, and I means interesting. So you can put your pluses, you can put your minuses, and you can put your interesting points. Because interesting points would mean looking at it in still another perspective, where decisions can be taken. The fourth one is called flow chart. When you decide, you go through a flow. You decide, you do step A, then step B, then step C. And finally, you come to the point where you decide how to make your decision. So after flow charts, there is 6 thinking hats. Now, you might have heard of Edward de Bono, his book on the 6 thinking hats. It's like how a particular decision has to be viewed from so many different angles before you finally think of what you want to do. And this will help you make your decision after you have all these perceptions in your mind chalked down, like the positives, the negatives, and the emotions, how they all play a part in your decision making. The next one is called SWOT analysis. So where you have your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So for example, if an entrepreneur wants to open a factory at a place, he's not sure what he needs to do, whether he would put down the strengths of that particular location, of the particular factory, the weaknesses in that location, the opportunities he would get while having a factory there, or the threats that he will face. So when he knows which is more important, what is weighing more to him, he will be able to make that decision. So SWOT analysis is one more. And also you have a high priority chart. So sometimes we make a decision on what is high influence, like who is really going to be, this is an impact chart where you say who will be impacted. High influence and low stake, high influence and low stake. There is low influence and low stake, and there's low influence and high stake. So each of them depends on the decision you want to make, who you want to keep satisfied, who you want to keep engaged, and how you want to monitor this, and where it will be helpful. So if you are deciding, this is another way in which you can use this for your decision making. And one more, which I thought is Eisenhower's matrix. When you have decisions that you want to make, there are certain ones which you have to do. So there is an urgent, a not urgent, an important, and not important. So urgent and important decisions have to be made now. Important but not urgent decisions, you can decide when you want to do it. Not important decisions, but urgent decisions, you could delegate to somebody else. And not important and not urgent decisions. You don't need to do now. So you know you can defer it. So there are many techniques of decision making which people do use. And if you probably have not heard about this, then this is where one can, apply your technique or your decision making and see how it can be of help to you. Now, I would like to go to the tips, very practical tips on how you can actually start doing quick thinking and quick decision making. If you have regular decisions, like you want to make, you want to have a pizza or you want to have a pasta. Now, we can't really be thinking too much. As traditionally we just say flip a coin, right? So you just flip a coin and you say heads for pizza and tails for pasta. Whatever comes, you choose and decide. Don't waste time. So you can do that. They are low stakes. But when you have resources that are scarce, like suppose you don't have enough of money, but you want to buy a house, then you consider what you need. Like, I need a home, but I don't need like a villa. So you go to your needs and not to what you want. Another practical tip is when facing similar outcomes, use the dial on your watch to see if which quadrant it is to decide. For example, there are 4 amazing channels on the TV and you just don't know which channel you want to watch. So you just say quadrant A is channel 1, quadrant 2 is channel 2, quadrant 3 is channel 3, and quadrant 4 is channel 4. And look at your watch. Wherever your watch shows the arrow, you choose that, because then you don't want to waste time decide. And try and talk, like I said, try and talk to people affected by this decision. Like, again, you want to watch one of the 4 channels, you're not sure. You just ask somebody who's also watching with you, like, what would you like to see? That just makes your life easier, right? You know what decision to make, and that too quickly. And last is when information is overloaded, consider only useful information and essential information. What you do is, suppose there are so many thoughts running in your mind and you're not able to focus on what you really want to do. What you do is suddenly switch off from there. Switch off. Put yourself in a situation where you're probably reading a poetry, or you're reading or just listening to somebody singing a song. It helps you distract yourself from something. And when you go back to the same decision you wanted to make, you will have full focus on that. You'll be able to rethink. So these were the practical tips that I wanted to give you. And, this is where I am. If you have any questions and you would like to ask, please unmute now. If not, I will go ahead with the what I am here for is, while I am doing business coaching, I want to give you a little bit of background from where I come. I come from a business family. As a child, I've always seen my father as a very well-established businessman. And he has been, a hero in our lives. And while everything was going great, we kids were, in our like teens. And when things got bad, we were all in the middle of our studies, and my father actually fell ill, and we had to close his business. He started his business just when he was 15 years old, and he became very huge because of the age at which he started. And for me to see that business go down, and that to me, I had to help, my family close this business down so that we can only salvage what we have and we do not fall into more losses. while I had done my chartered accountancy, because that was my father's dream, I also somewhere was feeling that I'm missing an entrepreneurship in me. I have that very intuitive nature just because I've seen my father. I know the love, the pain that he's borne, the amount of work and the sacrifices he's made and the lives that he has impacted. Till today, we know how his foresight has allowed my family to survive very difficult times as well. Entrepreneurship is not an easy journey, but it's very exciting. And that is why I have taken up this decision to be of higher help to entrepreneurs, making their decision making or any point, any part of their pain which they have in entrepreneurship easier for them by imparting certain knowledge that I have in my technical, journey of being a CA. Whereas I would be in a much better position to audit you as a person, as whatever you're doing. I can be able to help you in your gaps, finding out what is, going wrong, uh, trying to fix it with my own knowledge. And what I thought is what I could do additionally is also become a coach where I become accountable. I become your accountability partner. If you have a goal and you need somebody to be with you while you want to reach it, I can be that someone for you. So I'm offering these services to entrepreneurs, whoever is on the journey, has already been in that journey, but is looking for a business audit, is not sure of the gaps, or you're starting anew and you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. I want to offer my services to you. So here's my offer. After this session, if you would like, you could call me. I have a Calendly link where we can schedule a call and you get a 30-minute clarity call on your own entrepreneurship if you have. You can become a transformed and thriving entrepreneur because I have had the chance to be a licensed purpose coach where I have found that the mind needs to be transformed in such a manner that you look at things differently and you're able to take an excitement out of an entrepreneurship. So if you're very hungry to do a business of your own, and I am somebody who also has equal amount of hunger to have my own entrepreneurship, not just by being a coach, but by also doing another vertical. There is innumerable chances there to do it. I can help you by putting your thoughts together, helping you transform from where you are to where you want to go. But as long as you have the hunger, because that is something I will not be able to create. So I offer 9 weeks of one-to-one coaching to anybody who has this interest in going ahead, wants to do something but is afraid to do it, not sure. You can get a free clarity call and I can do a business audit for you. Otherwise, if you're sure you want to go in and you want to make yourself transformed into an entrepreneurship, you have an idea, but you're kind of hesitating, do call me. We can always have a niche clarity. And then because you're on this webinar, I offer a special discount to those who are here. I can, instead of giving it for $1,000 or 60,000 rupees in Indian rupees, I can offer you at $500 or 30,000 Indian rupees. And to freeze this offer, this is a 50% offer. You must book a 30-minute Calendly call with me before tomorrow. That is exactly 24 hours from now. So I have my link there. It's called calendly.com, Verna Pinto Coaching Discovery Call. And if there is, I'm here to answer questions. If you have questions, please let me know, or else we can wind up. So I thank you very much for joining me in this webinar. I look forward to hearing from anybody who is really interested in that 30-minute Calendly call. I'm sure if you have, please do not hesitate to call me. I am available on LinkedIn as CA Verna Pinto. I also have a website called www.vernapintocoaching@graphy.com. I will put all these details in the link in the chat or in the group that you have registered in. And I just say thank you for your patient and kind listening. And I'm here if you have any questions. I'm also open to your feedback. So if you have any feedback, if you have found any value in this, if something has occurred to you which didn't occur to you before and you would like to express it, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, hi. This is Kishore.
Yes, Kishore.
Yeah, most of the decision making, what you covered, generally I do practice, but then it's on not on paper, but then on the go, in the mind. So yeah, it's a good insight. Putting on paper gives more clarity and more insights, and makes it easier to evaluate.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. So I thank you everyone because we have passed the time of this 1 hour, and thank you for your patient listening. I am happy to connect with any of you just for a clarity call, even if it doesn't have to proceed further. But I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for being present and continuing to be there throughout the webinar. If I have added any value to you, please do share with me in personally, or I will be grateful. And if there is anything that probably I might do to even improve a webinar, and if you have any pain points that I could address in my next webinar, I will be happy to hear from you. So I take your leave, and I wish you all the best. Do keep in touch, and well, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.